And thanks for staying with us tonight. I'm Ryan Cummings.
And I'm Janice Allen. Well, fewer people are likely to vote at the polls this election day. Poll workers and advocacy groups are still worried about the possibility of voter intimidation.
And while there are laws to prevent that in Michigan, there are not any that outright ban guns at polling places. Our Doug Reardon tries to clear up the confusion.
The tensions are high around politics, guys. Today, 5 men appeared in court for a plot to kidnap lawmakers and overthrow the government. And while we're expecting guidance from the state on voter intimidation any day now, when it comes to carrying guns at the polls, right now the rules actually aren't very clear.
Guns at the polling places are definitely on our radar. It's something that's happened in the past.
Josh HORWITZ is executive director of the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. His group recently authored a report showing 5 swing states, including Michigan, could but haven't made laws banning firearms at polling places. Here are the facts. Michigan is an open carry state, but Michigan also has gun-free zones where firearms aren't allowed. In places like banks, bars, courthouses, theaters, hospitals, stadiums, schools, and some houses of worship, you can't bring your gun. But the junction of gun rights and voter intimidation laws muddy a bit when schools and churches become polling places, a big worry for HORWITZ.
We're not trying to scare people. We're not trying to tell people not to vote. We want people to vote. But our message is that election officials, state officials need to be ready for this.
Don't panic just because you see somebody with a gun.
Steve Doolin is a spokesman for the Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Ownership, and he's also taught a class on firearms law at Cooley Law School for the past 15 years. He sees no issue with legal gun owners carrying at polling places.
We've got pretty clear law in Michigan that says that the mere act of carrying my gun so that you can see it does not equal intimidation, right? So there's got to be something more to get to that intimidation line. There's got to be some verbal threats or some clear actions that are meant to frighten or intimidate.
IGOR VOLSKY disagrees.
We know what armed intimidation looks like, and I certainly believe that poll workers and election officials also know what that looks like.
VOLSKY is executive director of Guns Down America. His group, along with HORWITZ's, co-authored the report on the swing states. It also tracked 82 instances in 28 different states of voters in the 2016 and 2018 election who reported seeing firearms at their precinct.
So our role here is to ensure that the same kind of thing doesn't happen in 2020, and that if it does, election officials are ready to prevent disruption and to ensure that all voters can actually vote.
VOLSKY and HORWITZ are pushing lawmakers in states like Michigan without clear bans on guns at polling places to get one on the books. This year in Virginia, a group of the president's supporters protested in front of an early voting precinct in Fairfax County. No one was charged, but Virginia has a law banning guns at polling places, and the incident led to an opinion from the state attorney general. And from Ohio,
you have more information on a voter making threats about a gun at a polling place.
To a Philadelphia precinct in 2008.
I think it might be a little bit intimidating that you have a stick in your hand. That's why.
Voter intimidation, guns or not, is certainly real.
I've certainly seen an uptick.
Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson notes that her office, which is in charge of elections in the state, has seen a rise in chatter online about voter intimidation this cycle.
We're partnering with law enforcement. We want to make sure we're increasing our poll worker training so that they know what to do if they see something.
She encouraged even legal gun owners to consider leaving their firearms at home during voting and reminded people who might be uncomfortable with guns they can always vote from home. But with a recent solicitation for unauthorized poll watchers from Donald Trump Jr.
We need you to help us watch them, not just on Election Day, but also during early voting.
And strange calls from the president directed at an extremist group.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
State election officials and advocates are more worried about organized groups than law-abiding gun owners.
By using that bully pulpit, it's an opportunity to really incite people who want to do and cause havoc, like the Proud Boys, like the Boogaloo movement, like the militia movement, to try to get them to actually intimidate people at the polls.
There are many people who carry a gun just the same as they carry other items that they would use, like their cell phones. If the gun is used as part of an intimidation of other voters, then you've got a crime.
And we did reach out to the Secretary of State's office this morning to see when that guidance may be coming down. We have not heard back. Doug Reardon, Fox 17 News.